Welcome everybody to season 5, episode 23 of Oz Media's Motivate Me 313 podcast. We have another exciting and educational show for you today. First and foremost, let me go ahead and introduce the people who are in the building. We have a powerhouse of guests today. Just want to throw that out there. Got to start off with little big bro Yusuf T on the ones and twos. As always, we appreciate him. And we're going to go from left to right. First of all, we have the principal of Frontier International Academy. Shout out to Mr. Mohammed Alsanai. Go ahead and give him a round of applause. Yes, we have an audience here waiting for their answers and ready to hear them, and also ready to clap for whenever they say something great. Next to Mr. Mohammed Alsanai, we got Mr. Mohanad Jadallah, who is the principal of Bridge Academy East. And then the principal of Bridge Academy West, we have Miss Raihan Akhter. She's in the building today as well. We have the whole squad from GE here. All the schools from the city of Hamtramck or the borderline of Hamtramck. So shout out to these great professionals here that are in the building today. Of course, you got myself, Omar Thabit, here, and I'll be your host today. And again, today's topic is all about community development through education. All right, we're going to talk about how all these great principals here and even their colleagues have done a great job at GEE with building the community through their educational practices. Before we even dive into all of that, I want to let you know how you can follow us. You can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all under Oz Media. We are also on Apple and Spotify podcasts under Oz Media. You can find all those platforms on our website, ozmedia313.com. Shout out to the sponsors of the show: Juice Box, Holy Bowly, Wingfellas, Bates and Mocha, Chill Box, Melika Kebab, Hanley International Academy, The Family Doc, GEE Preparatory Academy, and Royal Kebab. Yusuf, you already know which ad we're going to start off with first. So shout out to GEE Preparatory Academy, and then we're going to officially get the show rolling. GEE Preparatory Academy. You have a kid that wants to work but can't because they have to go to in-person classes? Sign them up for GEE Prep. You have a kid who plays travel sports and doesn't have time to attend in-person learning? Sign them up for GEE Prep. GEE promotes mastery of the 21st century skills, literacy, integration of technology, problem solving, and inquiry thinking. The GEE mission focuses on what it considers to be essential character traits for the development of the whole child: respectful, responsible, tolerant, collaborative, creative, curious, empathetic, and ethical. It is the goal of GEE to graduate students with the skills and character traits needed to be successful in college, work, and life. Online learning is the new way of learning. You can sign your kid up for GEE Prep by going to their website at gee-edu.com. All right, we are officially back. Okay, so I always taught ladies first. So,
All right.
Miss Raihan Akhter, can you please tell us, first of all, how are you? How you been? Your educational journey, if you'd like to share that. And then, maybe how's your building going so far this year?
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for asking, Omar. My so far so good. Ramadan is definitely a different time. Schools are run the same, but we have to be a little bit mindful of how we run our day. We're a little bit more concerned with the kids, make sure that they're not overexert themselves. Also, they're sleeping a little bit more. That's just the norm, I guess, across the board. The one thing that I think for me personally, as I get older, I'm a little bit more mindful of myself. Is just try not to just to take care of myself, because I can only do so much if I'm not well myself. So that's very important. Within my educational journey, I started out as a journalism major. I did do my journalism major, my undergrad in it. I was an intern at Detroit Free Press. I was eventually slighted to become a medical writer. Somewhere along the way, Al-Ikhlas, I was working with them and volunteering. They needed a teacher. I ended up going in as a sub. I stayed for a long time, and somewhere Allah's made my path that I am going to be a teacher, and that's how I started in the educational field. And I stayed for 28 years.
Mashallah.
Never left.
Mashallah. So now you are the principal of Bridge West.
Bridge West, yes.
That's awesome. And then we got the principal of Bridge East, Mr. Jadallah. So tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe your educational journey as well.
Well, I started in Hamtramck maybe 17 years ago. I had finished my master's in social work and Miss Raihan also finished her
Yeah.
master's in social work. A lot of our educational journey actually coincides with one another. Um, After becoming a school social worker, I noticed like a passion of needing to work with more than just the students on my caseload and the difference you make in the students' lives. I worked side by side with Mrs. Sanai when he was a student advisor
So that
before becoming a principal. And I'm like, hey, this is maybe something I'm really interested in. Went back for my master's in educational specialist along with
we
Mr.
love it.
Rehana. We went back to school together. Um, and I found myself like doing a little bit of high school at one point, and then finally a position opened up for the Principal Bridge Academy East. And now I'm dealing with like elementary kids, which is a little different than the bigger kids, but I really like it.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Then we got Mr. High School Principal here, Mr. Alsanai. Can you tell us, a little bit about yourself for those that may not know and in your educational journey as well?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not a social worker because there's been a trend around. But I appreciate all the social workers around. I started my journey over 20 years ago in education, and I was lucky enough to work with Mr.
Both of
Jadallah, Ms. Raihan, and other educators in Hamtramck. I think first time I started education, I was inspired by Dr. Adnan Abed. Even though we're not together anymore, but he was one of the people that pushed me into it. And once you start working with the students and changing lives, and when you see kids who um, change their lives just because you're around or you mentor them, that's I think the big inspiration that put me in education. I moved between elementary, middle school, and high school, so I've been through all the stages of education.
What's your favorite level to be a principal of?
It's hard to say because seeing the little ones, the cute ones, is something else. Being in the middle school where the mindset is not settled is challenging and fun. But I guess high school is different
Yeah.
because you're dealing with people who are at the last stage of their transformation in their
Preparing
life.
him for adulthood and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So I was just giving him his credit for my little brother, man, because he needed that guidance and that mentor. So shout out to Mr. Sanai, man. He still gives you credit to this day. So we appreciate you,
I
man.
appreciate it.
All right. So we're gonna ask the questions and we're gonna dish them out, and whoever wants to answer. Whoever wants to add on. So first and foremost, can you share? Remember the topic again. I just want to repeat it so you understand what the main kind of topic is of this whole episode, which is community development through education. All right. So can you, any of you, share a specific story or moment where you saw community truly transform because of a shift in their educational approach? Anybody want to jump on first and foremost?
Sure, I'll start. I know this is a conversation we had. We were trying to figure out how to best to bring the best stories to tell, and we had so many stories. We can go on for hours about it. The one thing that I wanted to kind of emphasize here is just the fact of how many returning students come back to our academies to become paras, to become our teachers, to become our social workers, to become our board members. So we do see this huge shift and them coming back to give back to this community, to service the community. So that makes us feel proud on a different level because we must be doing something right for them to want to come back and ask, and they will volunteer. Even our any of our career days, our returning students come back and ask if they can. They will come in to volunteer. So for us, we're very proud of the fact that we have so many of our staff that are former alumni that are here, and they've been here for a long time.
That's awesome. And I know you were adding on a little bit too to that earlier on the conversation about how the students also come back and so happy to share their life stories with you all too and all that stuff too, right?
Yeah, I mean, we run into a lot of students in every institution. We go to hospitals, clinics,
Restaurants.
companies. You see people that graduated from our schools working there. I think that's a big transformation in the community when our own people are everywhere.
Yeah.
I remember back in the days, even our graduation rate wasn't high. College acceptance rate was in the 40s. Now we're over 95% in college acceptance rate in almost most of the schools in the area. And to have that mental stable if everybody has to go to education and change their lives, I think that's a big transformation for the whole community.
I love that. I love that. So we often hear the phrase "it takes a village to raise a child." In your experiences, what happens when the village, the community, is actively involved in the classroom?
I can start this one. I know at Bridge East, we really actively involve our parents in a majority, if not all, of our activities, whether it's coming to an assembly or whether it's a spelling bee or math competition. But one of the key things I feel like we do is the parent communication. Yeah, we do have some bussers, but majority of our students are picked up in the AM or in the PM. There's always a conversation with the teacher. How's the student doing today? It's not always all negative. Sometimes, a lot of times, it's positive. Sometimes instilling that bridge to the barrier of communication, like you're not going to wait till parent teacher conferences to find out how my child is doing. You're getting a daily report. Oh, I sent home homework with him. Make sure he does it. Oh, I sent, oh, he's had or she's had a very good day today. Just want to let you know, having that communication on a day to day really impacts the relationship between the school, the student, and the parent. So at the end of the day, it's like it does take a village to raise a child. There's a lot of people involved, not just even the classroom teacher. We have a lot of specialists, from reading specialists to like reading interventionists to our ESL department. Like when you even come into the school and you see how many people are surrounded to support this individual student, including the paraprofessionals and everybody else that surrounds them. When you see like 10 individuals all there to make sure the students is out there to get the best, we're really trying to offer our students the best.
I love that. Is any difference in the middle school or high school level, or it's very similar situations, I guess?
Similar, I think, because we have less interaction in the middle school and high school level, because a lot of times most of my children are bussers, and I know in high school they probably drive over there, so we see less of it. But whenever we do have our parents coming in, we try to get them to come in once a month or even more frequently into the building for any kind of occasion, just to even have coffee with the principal, because we want to have that open communication. And I always tell them my door is literally open, please come in and see me. So, and same thing, I know Mr. Sanai has the same policy.
Yeah, and having a whole team behind the
Yeah.
child is a concept that we
Yeah.
focus on. I mean, we treat the child as whole, not just
Yeah.
academics.
Right.
I mean, there are situations where our social workers, mental health specialists will go to homes at the middle of the night because a child is going through a hard time, or they spend days with one child just to change their mindset on a situation that might get them in trouble. Having a whole team working with one child to make sure they're solid in their life and they're prepared for to go to the classroom and learn. I think that's the real concept behind.
We're
takes
about the
advantage.
global child, having a whole child, not just academics, like you said, is we want to make sure they're prepared for everything that's coming their way beyond the school settings.
Which leads us to our next question, which is about how modern education is moving beyond just the academics part of it, which is to focus on the whole child,
Yeah.
which I'm very happy for. I feel like we weren't doing our students justice by just focusing on what their grades, because life is not all about just the grades that you get. So now we're focusing more on social emotional learning, building their character. How crucial is this shift for building stronger future communities?
I think it's the state took the initiative on pushing social emotional learning to the classroom, but a lot of educational communities didn't take the whole system into place. And I remember this kid that came to our school 2 years ago, and when we got his file, it was one of the biggest files I've ever seen, full of behavior referrals and discipline and suspension. And our social workers started working with him, and it took 1 week to get that child to realize that he was just playing around. And within a month, he became one of the highest performing students in the school. So the social emotional support that he got changed his life to succeed in the classroom. And I think having that system, of having mental health specialist, social worker, and student advisor, the counselors, all that team together working toward ensuring this social emotional side of a child is being addressed as he moves in schools. I think that's an important concept that schools need to look into.
We also have like the social emotional learning, as much as we have like the professionals such as the social workers and the mental health specialists. We do a good job in training our teachers and staff, because like for example, in our elementary, we do social emotional learning every day. The teacher has to provide an activity for the students every day, 5 days a week. Aside from the SEL, we started doing restorative circles, so we're teaching our teachers and staff these skills to implement inside of the classroom, where you're not just reliant on the social worker and mental health specialist.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Anything differently in the middle
No, I
school?
think again he had mentioned about the restorative circles. That's really important. The peer mediation and how to solve problems within themselves. That's very important. Efficacy is being instilled in them as we go through their educational systems.
So how do we balance this, all of this? You know, the rigorous academic standards that are required for global competitiveness or state competitiveness, but the need for soft skills like empathy, resilience, and creativity. I'm looking at you, Ms. Raihan. I want you to maybe see what are your thoughts on this one right here.
How do we balance it?
Yeah.
I think that as the three of us as a panel sitting here, the one thing that we're trying to do is really create that balance between academics, being a good human, and a global citizen. Those all come in hand. So you have to have the right people, the right curriculum, and you have to have the buy-in from the community as well as the parents, because we're not going to be able to do it only in the 8 hours. We're going to have that partnership with the families and the communities to instill these values, implement them, and make sure that the kids are learning them right. And so I think that's the biggest takeaway from here.
I mean, one of the things that schools are being pressured by is the state testing, the
Mhm.
accountability that the state is
Yeah.
putting people. And a lot of these accountabilities are coming from people who are not educators, they're politics, and they push it on us. And I think the only way to balance is focus on a strong curriculum, what the children need, and provide the support, and the schools will speak for themselves. That's, I think, where the balance comes in place.
Love that. Love that. And this is a question off of that question. After answering all these or asking all these questions and hearing your answers, do you believe that a teacher or an educator, maybe not just a teacher, an educator is the most important, person in a child's life other than their parents, obviously? Are they the next most important person in a child's life?
Oh, absolutely. From my personal being, I can tell you, my parents said, we're your parents at home, but your teachers are your parents. They are equivalent to you when you're in the school. So you mind them just as much as you mind us at home. And I believe that. And I truly believe the teacher does have that influence on a child because of you learn a lot from a teacher, their mannerism, the way they speak, and the way they speak to a child. That's also important. And I think a teacher can or an educator can make or break a child for sure.
And by the way, I say this all the time because sometimes, unfortunately, parents might be working afternoons, and so like sometimes they see their teachers more than they see their own parents throughout the week.
Yeah.
If they're not off from work or something, so definitely can agree to that. I mean, I don't know if anyone wants to add on anything to that.
Even if they not working, spending 7 to 8
8
hours
hours,
at
yeah.
school with
Solid.
that teacher,
Yeah.
and sleep 8 hours, that's 16 gone from the day.
Yeah.
That's an equal amount of the hours left for
Yeah.
them to spend with the parents. So.
Yeah.
Like, just piggyback on Mr. Sanai, like they're spending 8 hours a day, 5 days a week with the student in the classroom. They're forming a bond, a relationship with the student. They're the first ones even come to me and be like, I think so and so might need glasses. They're squinting and they're noticing things that are not noticed at home, or they are not noticed in what's it called, or oh, I noticed a rash on the arm. Maybe they need to go see the doctor. It's like sometimes, like nowadays, the way things are, people are too busy in their day-to-day life. Some things get unnoticed. But it's like another, I want to say, a third parent in the equation, and it goes back to it takes a village to raise a child. It is the other parent. Like at the end of the day, like each teacher can say, I have 26, like in elementary, because we're self-contained, they don't have rotate. I have 26 children. They consider them like their children. Like they're looking after them, they're protecting them, they're making sure they have everything they need, they're listening to them. Sometimes you see, and even at home, people are too busy giving them an iPad, nobody's there to listen to them or talk to them. But I feel like the teachers are rotating. They are very important, crucial in the kids' life.
I love that. Love that. And we're going to take a quick break and give another shout out to our ad. I'm going to do my best to try not to pick food advertisements, even though most of ours are all food people. But let's go ahead and give a shout out to Chillbox Yusuf, and then we're going to keep it rolling. So shout out to Chillbox. Chillbox. Chillbox Convenience Stores, a proud family-owned business, has established a strong presence throughout Southeast Michigan. Chillbox branded gas partners are Valero, Shell, BP, Amoco, and Sunoco gas stations. Their mission is simple: to deliver fast, friendly, and convenient service to their valued customers. With a wide range of snacks, refreshing beverages, and food options, all offered at competitive prices. They aim to satisfy every craving with a smile. With 40 locations and more coming soon, all across Southeast Michigan, their commitment extends beyond providing convenience. They strive to be a reliable and trustworthy resource for their local communities. So be sure to go chill at Chillbox. All right, we enjoying some side conversations here about the connection that all three principals have, with working in the same similar location and all that stuff. So, in your viewpoints, does the current, I know it says global, but we could say statewide education model adequately prepare students to be active citizens or just active employees? I think this is an important question. I'm looking forward to hearing some answers on this one.
I feel like each school has its own twist. Like, for example, when I visit the high school, um, yeah, they want them academically to grow and as a good, I don't say employee, but at the same time, we want them to get a good education, but we show them different models how they can grow within different fields. If you're a doctor, you don't necessarily have to work in a hospital, but there's other things you can do independently if you want to virtue off different than, I'm looking at some of the career development they're doing. I'm looking at Alsanai will most likely add to it, but it's like um, they're really like taking a step forward, opening students' eyes with their senior projects, going to the field, seeing different people, different professions, different, where it's like more eye opening than what they had envisioned.
I'd say that the state model is a little behind. They're focusing more in creating a platform where everybody take the same test at the same level and see how they're doing. And a lot of funds has been taken away from vocational programs and empowering the kids to go into trade schools and come up with something. Not everybody is gonna succeed in college, and those who succeed in college recently hasn't been successful in getting a job. And I think the state needs to work a little bit on that side. There is a lot of discussion about it in Lansing, and I know MDE has a lot of workshops that goes through this. But the model that's current right now is just pushing the kids through the system to go to college, and I think more investment in vocational. I know in our school we try to over like biomedical classes, pre-engineering classes, computer science classes, where kids could find at early age some interest on what they want to be. But looking at the economy and how companies are laying off tons of people recently, it makes you wonder if the kids going to college graduating are going to secure a job in the future. So I think pushing more programs that would prepare the kids to be just more successful citizens than just employees could be something. We always talk about this when we prepare students and talking to them. I'm not looking at a child to become a doctor. I need that child to own the hospital down the street. I don't want them to be an engineer that works for this big company. We need them to have their own company that inspire the community and moving big. Having that talk with the students sometimes could open their horizons into more than just being a doctor or an engineer or a software developer or website designer, whatever career they're looking into.
I mean, more entrepreneurship, I think, is something that we're getting them to. The idea of you can be your own boss, open up your own firm, open up your own engineering firm, your medical clinic, and then also with the trade schools, we want that we're pairing up with different community colleges who do have different. They have the electrician, the master electrician. And so again, like Mr. Sanai said, not everybody is ready or will be successful in college. So we want to give them other options. We don't want to close that door for them. As soon as they say, you know what, college might not be for me, okay, then I have another option for you. You want to try this, or why don't you do this? And we really like to work with them and try to find different shadowing positions, and even just going in there and interning at different places to see if that's the right fit for them or not. So that's important.
It definitely needs to happen more often because, like you guys said, college is not for everyone. But if you are going to go to college, don't just go to college to go to college. Right. Go to college with a plan, and maybe make that plan a little bigger than what you probably were originally thinking. Becoming the owner of the business, becoming the entrepreneur rather than just being a worker. I think that's a shift in focus that would definitely help the mindsets of a lot of people in the community. So what does a successful partnership between a school and its local community look like in practice, and how does GEE implement this practice? So maybe give us an example of like what it looks like. I know you, Mr. Jadallah, you kind of gave an example of how you guys reach out to parents and invite them over, but overall for community partnership, what does that look like?
So that's probably best to answer
Yeah,
this one.
I know.
I
I
mean,
know you guys have programs. I
yeah.
know you're involved with a lot of stuff too.
I think it's not just about reaching out to parents, it's also utilizing the local organizations around the school to help the school. So I know we have a strong partnership with the Yemen American Professional Association. They come and help students with their financial aid, college applications, walk them through the process. We have a partnership with over 15 organizations in the community, including Wayne Healthy Community, Wayne County psychiatric groups. They come and do workshops for students and parents. Red Cross, we have a strong partnership with them. Over 15 organizations that come and help our students as needed. They do strong mentorship, workshops. I know some of them, they have even monthly workshops throughout the year where they come see the same group over the year to make sure they succeed in school. So I think it's not just the parents' involvement; it's also those who been through the educational route and they graduate from college and now they have their own to come back and give to the students. I think that's the strongest stand we have with the community partnership.
I love that. I love that. So, how can educators move from simply informing parents and local organizations to actually, maybe co-designing the educational experience with them? So, basically, what do you guys do to like get them in the building? Like, is there something specific?
Um, we have a PTC that's set up, and we're always sending surveys out to parents, getting their thoughts on what can be done and what changes can be made. We're also doing coffee with the principal collaboratively. The three of us would do coffee with the principal, inviting parents from the three schools. What do you like? These are some agenda items that we have. We get their input on it, and if there's any changes that need to be made, we make those changes.
What I am doing within my building is 2 years ago, I realized the need for family literacy. So I built my own family literacy program. I teach it as well. And I have families, they bring in younger and older children, and we actually go through and we read and we do activities together. And that's been really big. This helps also take away the stigma of the parents coming into the school, and just having the kids work on different projects with their parents and reading together. That also fosters the idea of reading and doing things together. The other thing that I'm doing within my building, and I know that this is going to be expanded to them too. Wayne County Community College, I have an MOU with them, and so I have a very active sewing class for the community, especially just moms are more interested. So not just parents, it's just communities, people within the community. They can come and learn how to sew. The college has provided us a professional instructor, and gave me 15 machines, and they
Wow.
come in twice a week, 2.5 hours each day, and
After school or
after
during?
school
Okay.
after school. And then so that was last semester. This semester I have two classes actively. One is the part 2 and one is part 1. And the other successful program I have is within the community. Moms and dads are coming in to learn English, so we have 2 full classes of English being taught by my certified teachers after school.
The moms love the sewing
They do.
stuff.
They do. They do.
They had a whole class here in Dearborn. I heard that a lot of people graduated from. My mom was one of them.
Yeah.
She was telling me about it. So that's actually a great idea. And we always find things to sew. Our moms, that is. So um, for sure, I love that. I love that. And going off of that, by the way, I'm not saying this just to say this. By the way, GE, you guys really do a great job with getting the community involved. All the schools, and you guys do have great activities for the parents and for the students to make it a whole like one relationship kind of thing going on. So you guys are not just talking about it, you guys are actually put into action. So kudos to all three of you and the whole program itself. So I guess when I ask this question, the first thing that comes to my mind is the language barrier. But I guess, what are the biggest barriers preventing schools from leveraging local community assets, and how can we break them now? Maybe not just local community assets, also the barrier of getting parents more involved as well. Maybe it's a two-part question: local community assets, and then getting parents involved. Like, what's the biggest barrier that you guys feel like as maybe culture barrier, language barrier, whatever it may be. So, what do you guys think it is?
I mean, we're trying to bridge a lot of those barriers. For example, like if I have a classroom teacher who doesn't speak Arabic or Bengali or one of the other languages the students are speaking, we are hiring like paraprofessionals who are bilingual to help bridge some of those gaps and be that translator for the teacher or to be the translator between the teacher and the parent. But a lot of our parents honestly have came a long way. Like we're dealing now with that second generation or that third generation. It's no longer that first generation where it was like zero English. We do have some of those still today, but at the same time, I feel like the staff that we're hiring and trying to fulfill some of those gaps, language gaps, with our professionals, being able to translate really solves a lot of it.
Anybody else want to add on to that?
Well, I think one of the challenges we have is most of the teachers we get, not just us, most of the schools around get teachers from outside the city to come in the city and teach. And um, the teachers are very qualified, don't get me wrong, but it's different when you get teachers from the same community. I was reading an article about how the educational involvement happens in the United States, and back in the days, you used to have the teacher of your child living next to you. So when they come home, you have that conversation. When you go to the barber shop, you see the teacher there, and you have that talk. Now teachers come from far to teach in a certain school and move out. And I think one of the we're taking a lot of initiatives to produce our own teachers from the community. We have programs where we sponsor people to become certified teachers, and that helped a lot. But until you have a whole team from the same community that understand the culture, I think that challenge will remain in place, because despite the fact that you provide translation, you get some people on the room to help, and you get that communication with the parents. Somebody that came from a different culture could always have some misunderstanding in the process. So having our own product of teachers would be the next step that the community should look into.
I love that. Those are all great points, very great, valid points. And believe it or not, we're already moving into the last third of the show. So we're gonna give our last shout out. And I'm sorry, I know I said I'm gonna stay away from food, but we got to give a shout out to Royal Kebab, since you guys all work near the Hamtramck or in the Hamtramck area. You know, when it's time and Ramadan's over, what a great place to have lunch, which is at Royal Kebab. Shout out to Royal Kebab. Guess who's back? Back again. Royal Kebab is back. Tell a friend. Yes, that is right. The restaurant that you all have been dying for to open back up is officially back operating in Hamtramck. Royal Kebab offers the same mouth-watering Middle Eastern dishes as their sister company Meleket Kebab. You can order their lamb over rice, combo platters, shish platters, shawarma sandwiches or plates, fattoush and tabbouleh salads, all at the newly renovated Royal Kebab restaurant located on Kniff Street in Hamtramck, Michigan. So be sure to check out their website, royalkebab.com, before you make your next order and see why so many people have been raving about this restaurant. You know, looking at my brother Yusuf, I have to ask you this, Mr. Jadallah. Mr. Naji used to be the principal of
Dr. Naji?
yeah, Dr. Naji. I'm sorry, I apologize, Dr. Naji. And I see Yusuf. You know, I actually worked 1 year at Bridge East as well, and so Dr. Naji's famous line is GEE's number one.
No, Bridge Academy is
Bridge,
number
I'm
one.
sorry, Bridge Academy's number one. Thank
We
you.
love Bridge Academy.
Yes. All right. Do you have any slogan that's going on that people?
To be honest, it was such a good slogan. It still continues until today.
Okay.
So I
We're still
continue
learning how
on
to
that
juggle.
slogan until today. So we try and be number one, if not close to it. Again, it's the community that makes us and breaks us. At the end, like, these are our kids. When they say, who does the school belong to? I always say, it's your school. You guys built this school. This is next generation school. You know, at the end, the community feels a part. Everybody feels a part. There's great leadership across all of our schools and academies. And we can never forget about the leadership that came, and the next generation to come. We're building future leaders.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, for sure. I remember that was definitely something that was a slogan that it was very catchy too. Very catchy the way he said it too. It was like a little chant that he had going on. And Yusuf is a graduate out of Bridge Academy, right? You all to fifth grade, right?
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. So shout out to Yusuf in the back, making sure we are taken care of right here. So, can you discuss the role of cultural competence in today's curriculum? How does respecting local diversity contribute to global or state or city citizenship. So maybe cultural competence in today's curriculum. Is there any cultural competence, by the way, in today's curriculum?
We do see some, a lot more than what we saw when I was younger. There is a little bit more of religion and culture and just more cultural sensitivity put into the curriculum. The one thing that we tell our staff is to embed culturally responsive activities when they're doing something. So then there is they build background knowledge, and the kids also understand and they also respect the difference and diversity. We have to empower them with diverse knowledge. So all the students they have a sense of belonging while mutually respecting the differences that they have with other people. Once we have that diverse and educated student, we're going to have them give back, and they respectfully they become like global citizens, because if they don't know, they won't know the difference and the similarities between themselves and all the people out there. So the more you educate them, the more you're gonna empower them, and for them to be more respectful and to be able to give back on a higher level, I feel.
I love that. Anybody want to add on to that too?
I think that's she put it real well. But one of the things that we also had problem with in the past, and it's less now, is we used to be very sensitive to our own culture. We want people to see our culture and respect it, and that's a great thing. Don't get me wrong, but in the process, we missed out how to teach our children to respect other cultures as well. And I think that was the problem we had in the past. And recently, we've seen a lot of students who are really good in defending their own culture and represent it at the same times. They respect everybody around them. That's been, I think, a good change in the community and in the educational communities as well.
Like we have our multicultural day that we do every year, and classrooms do the research and um, present like other cultures to learn about other cultures. Right now, we're in African American History Month. A lot of our kids, they're doing projects, they're doing like using science fair boards in order to present. We want them to be knowledgeable about any and all cultures, because more than just the staff, but the students need to be aware too that outside of this bubble, there's a bigger society.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think that's the biggest thing for for educators is making people understand that there is more out there than the city that you are working in. Because a lot of times, a lot of these kids and the parents themselves, they kind of don't get out that bubble, and that's not easy to get them out that bubble, or pitch it to them at least to be interested to get out that bubble. So for the educators and community leaders who are listening right now, all right, and I would love everyone to maybe share an answer on this one. What is one immediate step they can take tomorrow or today to foster better collaboration, throughout the whole, from the parents to the students to the educators to the teachers? I guess what's one step that they can take today or tomorrow to foster better collaboration overall?
We need the parents to go out to the schools, be involved, and be intentional in how you're involved in it. Because we do see sometimes a reluctance of parents wanting to come in and be part of it. It's as soon as they break that barrier of going in and being involved, they don't, they can come volunteer, they can come and even visit their classrooms, their students' classrooms. Just come and see. I think that we need more parents to come in. It's important because it also empowers the child, and they're more comfortable and they're academically stronger once the parents are more involved in it on a day-to-day basis.
Love that.
I think the main thing is to see the child for who they are. We always have this saying that we go by every child every day. So when a child walks into the building, despite the fact that they might not get the attention they need at home, or the parents might not be supportive, you as a teacher in the classroom has a responsibility to make sure that child reach their highest potentials. Same thing with the parents. If the students didn't get something from the school, it's your job to help at home and go back to school and check with the teacher, see what's going on. A lot of those kids throughout the process, they get labeled and then they lose the confidence of achieving. And unless they get somebody in that whole process that would pay attention to their potentials and push them hard, they're not going to succeed. So I think the main thing, the mindset that people need to go with is, what can I do to help? Instead of sitting there and say, oh, they're not helping at home, or the school is not doing, or because any school will have the highest performance students and the lowest performance students, and any home, I don't think there are parents out there that don't want their kids to succeed in school. So if we get all to see the children for what they need, I think that will help them succeed.
Love that.
I think for educators, one of the main thing is to listen, make yourself available. A lot of times when parents feel ignored, it's never a good thing. And the more that they feel like they're a part of the equation, it really solves a lot of issues and problems within the school setting. Not allowing things to escalate to second step, third step, but dealing with it right then and there. I feel like one of the problems I see like across the board is make an appointment with my secretary, get an appointment 2 weeks later, and by then it just escalated to something bigger. Making yourself available for the parents, making the parents feel like their time is respected, their child's respected, and they play a big part.
Overall, because y'all been doing it, everyone's been doing it now for a few years. The principal thing. Do you feel like parents are more involved now, or were they more involved maybe when you first started?
I think they're way more involved now, as Mr. Mohammed mentioned earlier. We're dealing with second and third generation of parents, and they're well educated themselves. They went to college, graduates, so they know exactly what it needs to follow up with school to make sure that child is success. So I think it's way more involvement than it was. And the second thing is, I think our community now has a lot of organizations that help in schools, and seeing all those people coming from all over. And I'm speaking about our school. Seeing people from Wayne Healthy Community coming every month for hygiene projects
Yeah,
or whatever it is.
amazing.
Wayne State Psychiatric Group sent somebody twice, 3 times a year to do these big webinars for parents and students. The American Professional Association sent their teams every month to follow up with students' applications and make sure they know exactly what they need to get to college. I think that's just a whole change in the community involvement more than just one parent walking to school asking about how the child is doing.
I love that. And I know that it was maybe a couple months ago where the news broke that there's a new gym being built
Yes,
next
very
to
exciting.
Bridge Academy West. Fahmi was saying it's going to be called Fahmi Hussein Tony Gym, whatever it is. Is that true or is that just rumors, man?
You know,
We're
I-
voting for that.
He said he's gonna carve it before it
Yes.
dries. the
Yeah.
cement dries.
you know,
something
that
like
was
that.
our proposal. We said it has to be the Fahmi Hussein Gymnasium.
That's funny.
Absolutely.
Is there like actual truth to that or like
It's,
okay?
you can
okay.
actually see it. It's being they're on the second
Let's
floor.
talk about
third
the
floor?
name.
No, the
I'm not
the
the name, I'm talking
gymnasium
about
is
the
very
name.
much
Yeah,
alive.
yeah, I'm at the
The-
name. I thought the
Name,
name.
You know what? I'm gonna do a solid for Tony here. We are gonna go and have it just a plaque, and you know, even if it's not official, it's gonna be on the inside. We're gonna put it for him because he's been
Inshallah.
our biggest advocate.
Honestly, GE, our school board has worked very hard to make this come alive, and they deserve credit. And year after year after year, making sure our financials are in order and everything's in order to get this to for the next generation, have this gym for them. It's beautiful and to see how dedicated they are and how they volunteer their time. I think they deserve a word of
Absolutely.
Yeah, that deserves definitely a round of applause too. Um, much needed. You know, there's not enough gyms in the area. So I'm very happy that that's happening. I remember that I think Fahmi was talking to me about this like years ago, at least 5-10 years ago. So that's for it to actually like when will it be done? Do you know?
End of by August it should be done. But
Nice.
but the funny, sad part is we were supposed to break ground March 2020, and so everything was in place,
Okay.
and then COVID hit, and so now we're back quite a few
but
years.
it's
Yeah.
coming. It's like
Yeah,
day
yeah.
by day. You see.
Yeah, we got 4 walls up, so we're
I've
super
seen,
excited.
I've driven
Yeah.
by it and I was like, okay, it's coming.
Yes,
it's
it
coming.
is.
So that's great news
Mhm.
for the community and for the whole area. And before I let you guys say any final words and final comments, first of all, thank you for coming on today. This was a great conversation. And you guys will be able to close it out with any final word. But I just want to go over one last time of how people can watch this full episode and follow us and give a shout out to our sponsors. Again, you can watch this full episode on our YouTube and Apple and Spotify podcast pages under Oz Media. You can see clips from this episode on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok under Oz Media. And you can find all these platforms on our website, ozmedia313.com. Shout out to the sponsors of this show, Juicebox, Holy Bully, GE Preparatory Academy, Wingfellas, Bates and Mocha, Chillbox, Malik Kebab, Hanley International Academy, The Family Doc, and Royal Kebab. We appreciate everyone and their support. final words, final comments. I'm gonna let anyone who wants to start. Any final things that you guys want to say about this conversation that we discussed today about community development through education, or it doesn't even necessarily have to be about that. It could just be about anything. So, Mr. Sinai, you want to start us
Well,
off?
thank you for having us. It was a pleasure being on the show. Thank you.
Of course.
Honestly, I just want to say thank you, Omar, for everything that you do for the community and leaders like you, GE, other local organizations, our teaching staff that work endless from before school starts, even way after school ends, our instructional coaches, and everyone else. We are building that future generation of future leaders, and honestly, it's proud looking in the background, seeing them on career day and things like that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having us and listening to us talk this morning. Again, like Mr. Jadallah said, I think education is something that people don't value as much as they should, because our teachers make the future leaders, future doctors, future everything. So next time you see somebody, especially a teacher, thank them, because it is a thankless job. And we want to shout out to GE and our admin teams and our teaching teams for everything they do every day.
For sure, for sure. And I always say I was in the education field for a little while. I think it was meant to be, because I now am, inshallah, and will continue to be one of the huge advocates of the educational and all the teachers for all the work that they do. They do not get enough credit for what they do, all the work that they put in, all the countless hours. I don't want to say blood, but maybe the sweat and the tears that get involved. And so, definitely give credit where credit's due. If you see a teacher or an educator, please thank them for what they have been doing and what they continue to do, because I'm gonna be honest with you, it's one of those thankless jobs that you can never thank them enough. You really don't know the impact the teacher has on your kid, maybe until when you get older and you realize it, or if you become a teacher or educator yourself. So, again, thank you all for listening or watching. This was season 5, episode 23 of Oz Media's Motivate Me 313 podcast, community development through education. Our guests were Mr. Alsanai, Mr. Jadallah, and Ms. Akhter. Thank you for watching and listening, and we'll see you all next time.